Beyonce is facing fierce backlash from her fan base after wearing a very offensive t-shirt. The diva sparked outrage at the Paris stop of her Cowboy Carter tour after wearing a t-shirt with the Buffalo Soldiers, who were some of the first African Americans to serve in the US military. While on its surface, the shirt seems like a celebration of an often overlooked part of American history, there's more to Bey's shirt than meets the eye. In the 1800s, the Buffalo Soldiers fought on the side of European colonizers against the Native Americans in the Indian Wars. Fans pointed out that not only did Beyonce wear a shirt with the Buffalo Soldiers on the front of it, the back of the shirt also featured a very controversial passage about the Native Americans that they went up against. Allegedly, one verse on the garment reads, "Their antagonists were the enemies of peace, order, and settlement," warning Indians, bandits, cattle thieves, even bootleggers and trespassers, as well as Mexican revolutionaries. A number of Beyonce's loyal fans were outraged by the text and took to social media and Reddit as well to express their outrage. One person online wrote, "Not everything in Black history needs to be revered and turned into an aesthetic. The Buffalo Soldiers did awful things to Indigenous people." Beyonce's romanticism of this is beyond the pale. They added that Cowboy Carter album got her feeling all kinds of patriotic, in all the wrong ways. A third person commented saying, "I'm glad I'm seeing so many posts against Beyonce peddling this Buffalo Soldier nonsense because I love her music, but she's not beyond being rightfully criticized, especially for selling merch calling Native Americans enemies of peace. Like, how dare you?" In other news, a technical mishap led to Beyonce's flying car prop to tilt during Cowboy Carter concert in Houston, with fans capturing the moment on video. The singer was quickly lowered down and without injury, according to Beyonce's entertainment and management company. The 43-year-old singer was performing her song 16 Carriages in a suspended red car when the vehicle started to tilt in the air, according to a video from the scary moment shared by fans on social media. And she was sitting on top of a red convertible as it began to actually slant. Now, she appeared to be wearing a harness and is seen holding on to, one of the cables, but Beyonce is heard calmly saying into her microphone while she remains suspended in the air, "Stop, stop, stop, stop." So the music was stopped and the car was slowly lowered to the stage. After she was successfully on the ground, the singer told the crowd, "I want to thank y'all for loving me. If I ever fall, I know y'all will catch me." The cause of the malfunction was not immediately clear, and while she hasn't directly commented on the incident, Beyonce shared a photo on Instagram letting everyone know all is well. That's gotta be scary though, right? And can you imagine the people who got fired right after that? Jeez. Beyonce is being sued, and it's as messy as the Kardashians' Instagram comments. Beyonce receives a cease and desist letter from Sphere Inc. over Cowboy Carter tour footage. A visual interlude created for Beyonce's Cowboy Carter tour has landed the singer in hot water with the Las Vegas entertainment company. Now, the owner of the Sphere has sent Beyonce a cease and desist letter to remove a depiction of the Sphere from her tour. In the viral clip, Beyonce actually struts across Las Vegas in cowboy gear and handles the Sphere like a basketball. The stunt sent rumors swirling that she could be taking up a residency at the Sphere Arena. One person on X commented saying, "No one talking about why she picked up the Sphere in Vegas. Something gonna happen, have mercy." The letter, reportedly addressed to Beyonce's production company Parkwood Entertainment on behalf of Sphere Entertainment Group, asked that the singer stop using the footage, which is included in an interlude for the show, which they say is used without permission of the Sphere and misleads fans. A source told Billboard that the visual upset CEO of Sphere Entertainment, James Dolan, after he tried to negotiate for the singer to actually perform at the Las Vegas venue in the past. Not missing a beat, the Beehive roasted the entertainment company online, with one commenter writing on X saying, "Imagine being mad that you can't get Beyonce, so you sue her company for picking up a Sphere? Embarrassing." The letter reads, "It has recently come to SEG's attention that a Cowboy Carter tour interlude video contains the unauthorized use of SEG's intellectual property. During her show, she ultimately delivered a Beyonce caliber stadium performance anchored by the stunning choreography of her more than 24 backup dancers." Now, despite this glitz and glam, not everyone left Beyonce's show feeling on top of the world. One frustrated fan is speaking out after what they call the worst concert experience of their life, claiming they were left completely blindsided. During Beyonce's recent show at the SoFi Stadium, from distorted sound to shockingly bad seating, the attendee says everything that could go wrong did. The fan said it turned out to be a waste of money, noting that while others snagged cheap seats in the nosebleeds for the same price as a McDonald's meal, they opted for pricier seats in the first elevation just above the floor for a better view of the superstar's blockbuster stage. At $350 per ticket, the fan thought they were investing in a once-in-a-lifetime experience. They said, "I wanted to be close to the action and had been advised that these would be better than floor seats because I'd get an amazing view of Beyonce's blockbuster stage production. I was confident I'd found two of the best seats in the house," they explained. Now, despite being tempted to get something cheaper that was more in their budget, they continued to say, "I couldn't believe that I'd spent $700 for me and my friend to see, Bey live, but the excitement quickly turned to disappointment the moment the show began." Despite spending hours researching the section on Ticketmaster, even scouring concert photos and customer reviews to ensure the view would be, unobstructed, the attendees said there was no warning about blocked sightlines. The fans said they've attended plenty of concerts before and were shocked there was no disclaimer. While Beyonce's team tried to make up for it by mounting a TV screen to the back of the box, it didn't help much. Now, the fan ended their rant with one last sting, saying, "I've seen almost every pop star from Beyonce's generation in concert. This was by far the worst concert experience she's ever had." Did Beyonce fake her pregnancy? When Beyonce was pregnant with daughter Blue Ivy Carter, so many rumors began spreading that she faked her pregnancy with a fake belly and had enlisted a surrogate to carry the child. A particular video, however, went insanely viral, like literally overnight. A video of Beyonce's high-definition interview with Australia's Sunday Night HD surfaced online. This interview would have been, on record as the most boring interview of all time had it not been for the one moment at the start of the sit-down when Beyonce took a seat and her bump, did something entirely different and kind of unnatural. So to explain, when she sits down, you can see her stomach deflating and folding in on itself. The stills and slow-mos of the disappearing bump were circulated online as people questioned, what was happening? Now, was Beyonce wearing, different sized bellies to throw off the press as to how far along she was? Had she and Jay-Z, gone the surrogate route and her, deflating baby bump proved it? Or was it something else entirely that can or can't be so easily explained? Beyonce's publicist, Yvette Noel Schur, was quick with it. She shot down the conspiracy theories almost immediately, telling E! News that, websites, blogs, and rumors suggesting that Jay-Z's wife is wearing a prosthetic or otherwise faking her baby bump are simply foolish and outlandish. Beyonce addressed it literally only once, saying, "That was crazy. It wasn't even hurtful, it was just crazy. Where do they come up with this stuff?" Meanwhile, her mother, Tina Knowles, took the talk very personally. She went on to say, "I thought it was very unfair and very cruel that someone would think that someone would be that diabolical to keep up a charade like that for 9 months. As a mother, it was painful for me to hear the crazy rumors, and I even had people ask me, which was so ridiculous. The only thing they could say about why it looked like her belly folded is that it must have been the fabric." One critic online pointed out that Beyonce has been so secretive about her pregnancy and that the only footage of her actually being pregnant was super grainy and not clear at all. Some fans, came to her defense saying that there was a pic of her on the beach, in a bikini, but honestly the photo of her in the bikini, if she was pregnant, looked like she would have been about 4 months or less. So basically people were saying, the photo doesn't actually prove that she was actually pregnant. There were just so many conspiracy theories regarding why she might be lying. Many people thought she didn't want to ruin her figure, by being pregnant. Some people suspected maybe she couldn't have children of her own, and some thought, her and Jay were maybe adopting. However, none of this truly mattered when her daughter was actually brought into the world. Blue Ivy was born at Lenox Hill Hospital in Manhattan, New York on January 7, 2012. Her and Jay actually reportedly bought out the whole floor at the hospital in order to have privacy, even making people who, were already there leave. But that's another story for another time. All in all, this whole circus made Beyonce a lot more open with her second pregnancy when she had twins Rumi and Sir. Personally, I think she didn't want the same same, accusations and theories to surface again, so she kind of just said, y'all ain't playing with me today. You want a bump? Here it is. Is Beyonce lying about her age? There have been several moments that have made people question whether or not Beyonce is lying about her age. Matthew Knowles, her father, continues to use his daughter's name as a means, to staying newsworthy. This time though, it's adding fuel to the fire, or to the rumor mill, that the superstar is actually lying about her age. In an interview with Power 105.1's The Breakfast Club, Knowles, her father, says that Pink, the singer, is the exact same age as Beyonce. Pink, however, is 45, and Beyonce is, according to her, 43. Beyonce's age has been, a source of speculation for years, complete with alleged birth certificate leaks and, celebrity sources. Gabrielle Union, who is 9 years older than Beyonce, has said they were friends when they were teenagers, and apparently they even went to high school together, but the math ain't mathing there. While the difference between Pink and Beyonce are only like a measly 2 years, by the time you're like closing down on 50, those years, apparently seem to matter. So, fudging the numbers early on makes it a little easier to simply stop at 43 and refuse to age any further. It's as if, as a performer, you were to reach 50, you'd stop being considered for parts or shows, which, let's be honest, that isn't actually true in today's day and age, because just look at Jennifer Lopez. Like, she's in her 50s, she's still performing, headlining, you know what I mean? Or the other worry I would imagine most women up in age would be concerned about would be whether you'd be vilified for like gallivanting in a leotard or like a bodysuit, like a one piece, whatever scandalous type of outfit you might have worn in your 20s. Basically, for being confident about your body. Taylor Swift does it, it's, girl power, but if Madonna does it, it's like supposed to be shameful, So at least that's how society wants us all to view it. Beyonce has lied many times about writing her own music. Beyonce has claimed to be, the creative vision and songwriter behind some of her most successful songs, and there was no room for argument, that she was one of the most talented singer-songwriters to be a part of the music industry, and still is. But when rumors began to swirl that there were holes in the stories Beyonce told about writing her music, fans were shocked. They wondered if Beyonce truly did write all the songs she claimed to, or if she was fabricating. Now, there have been several times when songwriters or celebrities have had negative things to say and called Beyonce out in the press for taking credit for being the creative force behind her songs that have become hits. This is not to say, that the Run the World singer does not put her own spin vocally on tracks to take them places other artists could not, all while having an insane work ethic, but taking full credit for something that there was clearly a collaboration on led fans to do some digging. And when they did, they found several times when Beyonce claimed to be the sole writer or had the inspiration for a song, when that was clearly false. One person on Reddit actually rounded up like a number of examples, which include Emotions, which is actually a Bee Gees cover, Survivor, which the actual songwriter sued and settled out of court, Bow Down, which was allegedly written for Rihanna, Bootylicious, the demo was apparently near complete when, it got to Destiny's Child, and one of Beyonce's biggest songs, Irreplaceable, which apparently was actually written by Ne-Yo. Now, what's funny about that one is that Beyonce went on to say, I'm sure people think I wrote it about Jay-Z or something, but the obvious person is not the person at all. Several years later, though, Ne-Yo claimed to have penned the song himself. Had he not thought the song was too misogynistic, he explained he would have actually kept it for himself. He said, that song taught me a very interesting lesson. Many women don't think that differently. However, a man singing it comes across a little mean. So, with many discrepancies coming up in interviews over the years when Beyonce has claimed to be the driving force behind many of her hits, it is easy to see why fans wonder how much Beyonce has written herself, what she has collaborated on, and what songs were just written for her. There's no denying the talent Beyonce has, and no one is discrediting, her vocal and performance abilities, but many fans and critics alike think that she should give all the credit, not just to herself. In fact, it's just a song that maybe she's collabed on with one person, online even saying, unless Beyonce specifically came up with an idea for a song or contributed vocals to it, she should call herself an artist instead. Another person chimed in and said, for some reason we have this idea that singers have to also write their own music to be considered artists, but telling a story with your voice and entertaining people with your performance is a whole other skill set. I think at the end of the day, just give credit where it's due to avoid these type of, controversies, or stay as low-key as possible and don't extend your part. Thank you, Beyonce. And no, I'm not thanking her, but many celebrities have, and there's a bizarre theory around why. It's alleged that one of the closest people in her inner circle started this theory, and while we are still uncertain if there's any truth to it, it certainly is worth digging into. What started out as a conspiracy theory is now a trend that has everyone on social media thanking Beyonce. This all began when social media users noticed an unusual trend in celebrity artists thanking Beyonce in their acceptance speeches after being nominated for major awards. Although the artists did not collaborate with Beyonce or work with her in any way to create the awarded projects, the many artists still use their acceptance speeches as a moment to express their admiration and high regard for the singer. This has occurred particularly at the Grammy Awards. So in 2017, English singer-songwriter Adele thanked Beyonce when accepting the award for Album of the Year. Adele did not feel deserving of the award, as she acknowledged that Beyonce's album, titled Lemonade, was also nominated in the same category. Adele said during her acceptance speech, "I can't possibly accept this award, and I'm very humbled and I'm very grateful and gracious, but the artist of my life is Beyonce." This occurred again in 2023 when American rapper and singer Lizzo thanked Beyonce after winning Record of the Year. At the time, Beyonce's song titled Break My Soul was also nominated in the same category. During her speech, Lizzo reflected on her first Destiny's Child concert and how she was enamored by Beyonce's vocals. Lizzo expressed, "I was I want to make people feel this way with my music, so thank you so much." Beyonce has also been acknowledged on various award stages by celebrities like Megan Thee Stallion, Lady Gaga, and Britney Spears. These harmless acceptance speeches are now being interpreted as a negative narrative towards Beyonce, questioning her character and, her prominent role in the music industry. It is challenging to identify exactly why the public has sought this reaction, though conspiracy theorists believe celebrities praise Beyonce in their acceptance speeches because they understand her immense influence over the music industry and wish to remain successful in the public eye. One source said this conspiracy theory started with the passing of Aaliyah, who is the queen of urban pop who redefined contemporary R&B in the 1990s. Some people argue that her passing gave Beyonce the space to become the icon that she is today. In J. Cole's 2013 song She Knows, he mentions Aaliyah's passing. Now, some of the more deranged and unhinged TikTok users connect that song with Beyonce's friendship with P. Diddy, who has been at the center of conspiracy theories connected to Aaliyah's passing for years. The theory goes like this: thank Beyonce or face the consequences. Celebrities do tend to thank Beyonce a lot. Now, Kanye, rushed the stage when Taylor Swift beat Beyonce for Album of the Year. The list honestly goes on and on and on. The celebrity thanking has reached TikTok, of course, where users are thanking Beyonce at Thanksgiving, or for their dog not having cancer, or literally for nothing. So the question is, have you thanked Beyonce today? Is Beyonce to blame for Liam Payne's passing? One source close to the singer has spread this crazy theory. Following the unexpected passing of Liam Payne, a new theory has emerged, implicating none other than Beyonce, Jay-Z, and P. Diddy. Now imagine the worldwide shock if any of this turned out to be true. Fans in the music industry are still shocked by the news of Liam Payne's passing. Although details, still remain kind of unclear, the coroner has already ruled out foul play for the former One Direction singer. But in the wake of his passing, fans began theorizing what might have happened, and one theory suggests that Beyonce was seen staying in the same hotel where Payne tragically fell from a third-floor balcony. On its own, this fact might seem insignificant, but social media detectives have supposedly found countless other connections between Payne's passing and Beyonce. In a past video, Payne is reported to have warned others to ignore Beyonce, even implying that she was dangerous. Payne also openly expressed a less than friendly view of P. Diddy, describing his smile and laughter as devilish and his presence as very unpleasant. Now, supporters of these theories believe that Beyonce, Jay-Z, and Diddy are just so powerful in the music world, that nearly every award show features celebrities, again, like I just spoke about, thanking Beyonce for their success. fearful of the supposed consequences of doing otherwise. Now, the suggestion is that, the lack of respect for the trio could mean career-ending repercussions. Now, while these theories might seem, outrageous, the internet is filled with those who find meaning in them. Conspiracy theories fulfill a certain, psychological need, even though the most far-fetched ideas lack evidence. Social media algorithms, boost emotionally charged stories, making it easier than ever to just spread these theories. The theory, though, may not add up because, first and foremost, neither Beyonce nor Liam Payne has publicly, in the past or now for Beyonce, even indicated any connection that would lend credibility to these claims. Okay, Beyonce's career has focused on, of course, creating music, empowering messages, maintaining a positive image, and of course, her social justice work. Meanwhile, Payne, as a former member of One Direction, has navigated his own path, post, boy band, encountering personal challenges, like any other high-profile celebrity might. The idea that there would be any, antagonism or hidden influence between them is unfounded, so take this all in, of course, with a grain of salt and come up with your own conclusion. Either way, rest in peace, Liam. Few theories to share with former Hills stars Spencer and Heidi Pratt about Beyonce and Jay-Z on an episode of the couple's Make Spidey Famous Again podcast. Now, Rose said she suspects Gwyneth Paltrow is Jay-Z's alleged mistress, who Beyonce dubbed Becky with the good hair on Lemonade. On the infamous Lemonade track, Sorry, Beyonce sings, "He only want me when I'm not there, he better call Becky with the good hair." The lyrics have been a mega mystery ever since, as fans have wondered, who could dare step between Jay and Bey. Now, a lot of speculation surrounded fashion designer Rachel Roy, who even captioned a now deleted Instagram post, "Good hair don't care," after Lemonade was released. But Rose has a different theory. She speculated on the podcast, saying that she definitely thinks that Gwyneth Paltrow is Becky with the good hair, and she feels like, she's the one who was sleeping with Jay-Z. Rose, who doesn't actually have investigative proof on the situation, explained her theory, saying the once public friendship between Paltrow and Beyonce seems to have hit a lull, since Sorry came out and was released shortly after the Goop CEO and Coldplay singer Chris Martin announced their divorce. Now, Rose thinks the timing all makes sense. Amber continued to say they were like friends, and then you don't see Gwyneth Paltrow and Beyonce anymore, but Beyonce's still with Jay. Though she admitted that she doesn't actually know if Paltrow and Jay-Z ever had an affair, Rose noted, "I'm surprised no one has thought of this." Rose is correct when she says that the pair of, A-listers did appear to, boast a close relationship in the past, and that they haven't hit red carpet worthy events together for some time. As Paltrow shared with Ellen DeGeneres on the Comedian's Talk Show in 2010, she and Beyonce actually met at a charity event sometime in the 2000s. She actually said to Ellen, "We just kind of hooked up, hit it off, and became really close friends." Paltrow has apparently been good friends with Beyonce and Jay-Z for years, calling the twosome the greatest people ever during a 2015 radio interview on the Howard Stern Show. She added at that time, "They are funny and sweet and self-aware and really intelligent." As for the cheating allegations, Paltrow's rep said it is completely absurd and 100% false. Beyonce and Jay-Z reportedly separated for a year in 2005, as revealed in the 2015 biography Becoming Beyonce by J. Randy Taraborelli. He suggested that the split coincided with Jay's scouting of Rihanna, sparking rumors of a supposed affair. Now, speaking to Entertainment Tonight at the time, Taraborelli said Beyonce didn't know what to make of this, and it actually ended up breaking them up for a time. They spent maybe a year apart from each other because Beyonce just wasn't sure what to make of the situation with Rihanna. Now, in a candid chat with BBC's Newsbeat, Taraborelli defended his bombshell claims despite not speaking directly with Beyonce for his book. He said, "Well, my job as a biographer is to take a look at, all of the persistent rumors and see if it is possible to unpack them. We found the publicist who was working for one of Rihanna's producers. His job was to promote Rihanna's first single, Pon de Replay. He went on to expose a manufactured scandal, saying in that capacity he began to float the untrue story that Rihanna and Jay were having an affair. This was not true. We interviewed him and he confessed that he planted the story in an effort to promote Rihanna." Now, further shedding light on this web of deception, the former publicist Jonathan Hay confirmed Taraborelli's story, offering apologies to music power couple Jay-Z and Beyonce after spreading, the false information. Despite safeguarding the identity of those who provided insights, Taraborelli notes his sources have nothing to gain by talking to him, and often and they had a lot to lose, also claiming that it was people in Beyonce's inner circle that corroborated these claims and provided him more insight. So, the shade of that all, right? Now, the author elaborated on his credibility, saying, "This is my 18th book. I've had like 14 bestsellers. So, me and my research team, we really have sort of like a gut for this work. I can tell when somebody is being honest. Everybody is interviewed and re-interviewed, and then their stories are compared with other stories of people who are in the same situations. So we really do a lot of work to corroborate everything that we hear." Now, despite allegations of a split, neither Jay-Z nor Beyonce have, of course, made any public remarks on this. Let's start with all the claims of her cultural appropriation and insensitivity. In 2016, Beyonce faced backlash for her music video Formation, which featured African-American cultural symbols and imagery. Critics accused Beyonce of profiting from Black culture without properly understanding or respecting its history and significance. For example, writer and activist Rachel Kadizi Gonse, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, wrote an essay criticizing Beyonce for her use of African-American cultural symbols, stating, "Beyonce's Formation is a masterclass in how to take Black cultural production and turn it into a product that can be sold to white people." Another notable instance is also seen in the music video Hymns for the Weekend by Beyonce and Coldplay. Although it is a great and catchy song to many, we have seen multiple scenes in the music video of culture being used as entertainment and accessories. In the video, we see Hindu temples, Indian people, Indian civilization, meditation being done, festivals celebrated, and a Hindu god. The music video overall has a variety of positive Indian culture shown, but what makes this music video debatable is the fact that Beyonce is using the Indian clothes as accessories, even though she is not Indian herself. What could have had, this music video be less debatable is if Coldplay collaborated with an Indian singer who knows about her culture and the clothing she was wearing. If this Indian singer would have replaced Beyonce, then she would have known that hennas are not from Indian culture. This already provides, a lack of knowledge that the artist has on the culture itself, which can be seen as disrespectful to many, especially in the Indian culture. As said before, Indians have a strong, respected foundation for their ancestors and their heritage. In the video, the person who is grabbing all of the attention from the viewers is Beyonce herself. There are Indian women there that could have stolen the spotlight, but we see how this cultural appropriation comes into the picture when Beyonce uses the best jewelry and clothing for the public, just as how the Kardashian uses, Black culture to show themselves off, but that's a topic for another time. Next, feminism and hypocrisy. Beyonce has been accused of hypocrisy for her feminist stance, with some critics arguing that her music and performances often objectify women and perpetuate patriarchal values. For instance, in 2013, Beyonce performed at the Super Bowl halftime show where she sang and danced in a very revealing costume, sparking criticism from some feminists who argued that her performance was contradictory to her feminist ideals. Writer and feminist Bell Hooks criticized Beyonce for her feminist stance, stating, "Beyonce's feminism is not about ending patriarchy. It's about getting a bigger piece of the pie." Bell Hooks criticized Beyonce's feminism and image, arguing that, while she uses her platform to discuss Black female pain, her approach is narrow and simplistic, focusing on gaining power within existing structures rather than actually dismantling them, and that her image can be seen as perpetuating harmful stereotypes. Some people did come to Beyonce's defense, and one person on social media said, "I felt like she was criticizing Beyonce because her preferred method of self-expression in Lemonade didn't actually jive with Hook's idea of what feminism is." Another person said, "How can she determine whether or not one's method of healing is inadequate? It's Beyonce's narrative. She can resolve it how she wishes. I see it as another version of Piers Morgan's, issues with the album, which I interpreted as, I'd like it better if you expressed yourself in a way that is more my taste." It's almost as if she's implying the only feminist way of moving beyond the hurt and betrayal is if Beyonce were to divorce or abandon her husband. Now, in my opinion, I think Bell Hooks had some very fair points, but I also think she criticized Beyonce so much because that's what sold her books. She has gone on record saying, though, she recognizes that she could be critical of Beyonce, yet also does appreciate aspects of her power and representation. Beyonce has faced criticism for her involvement in the Black Lives Matter movement and her position with activism, with some critics arguing that her activism is superficial and self-serving. In 2016, Beyonce performed at the BET Awards where she and her dancers wore Black Panther-inspired costumes, sparking criticism from some activists who argued that her performance was a form of cultural appropriation and that she was using the movement for her own gain. Beyonce's dancers wore black leather, afros, and berets, which some saw as a direct reference to the Black Panther Party, which was a 1960s black nationalist organization known for its revolutionary stance and focus on community empowerment and self-defense. The song Formation, released before the Super Bowl, was seen as a powerful anthem about black identity, resilience, and resistance, further fueling the perception of the performance as a political statement. Many conservatives, law enforcement organizations, and social media users criticized the performance and the song, viewing them as anti-police, anti-American, and anti-white, particularly due to references to police executions of unarmed black men and the song's overall tone of defiance. The performance and the song generated a very strong backlash, with some calling for a boycott of Beyonce and others defending her right to express her views and celebrate her heritage. Activist and writer Kevin Powell criticized Beyonce for her activism, stating, "Beyonce's version of activism is more about branding and marketing than actual movement building." Her personal life and relationships. Beyonce's personal life and relationships have also been subject to criticism and scrutiny, of course. In 2014, Beyonce's sister Solange Knowles physically attacked Jay-Z in an elevator, sparking criticism and speculation about the state of their marriage. Some critics have also accused Beyonce of using her personal life and relationships as just a marketing tool, with some arguing that her music and performances often kind of blur the lines between, her personal and public life. In this day and age, so many scandals come and go with the wind. Very few have real staying power in the microwave nature of social media. However, Elevator Gate happened at a time when everything was magnified, and this drama remained the subject of conversations and memes for weeks and months and years leading up to the release of her album Lemonade, which dropped in April of 2016. One song on the album, Sorry, was particularly casting light of what we knew about the tension between Beyonce, Jay-Z, and Solange. It was widely speculated that the elevator fight was actually down to Solange confronting Jay about his alleged cheating, and Sorry only fueled the rumors to a very stunning degree. Beyonce sings in the outro, coining an iconic pop culture term, "He only want me when I'm not there, he better call Becky with the good hair." But for years, and to this day, who is Becky with the good hair? It must surely be one of the most Google searches ever. Various female celebrities found themselves subjected to rumors that they could be Jay-Z's mistress, with Rihanna being a rumor, Rita Ora, and Rachel Roy among those who were at the center of this speculation. However, most denied it and distanced themselves from the scandal, leaving the identity of Becky a mystery to this day. According to an insider, Becky actually doesn't really exist, and Becky was just a combination of women. Music industry politics and controversy. Beyonce has faced criticism for her music industry politics and controversies, with some critics arguing that she has used her power and influence to sabotage other artists and further her own career. Back in 2014, Beyonce faced backlash for her surprise album release, which some argued was a deliberate attempt to overshadow other artists and dominate the music industry. Some critics have also accused Beyonce of using her connections in the music industry and influence to silence critics and suppress dissent. Now, for example, in 2016, Beyonce's team was accused of trying to silence critics who were speaking out against her music and performances. Beyonce's venture into country music, particularly her recent album Cowboy Carter, her album and performances sparked such a debate about her, countryness and whether a pop star could authentically cross into that genre. Some country radio stations initially refused to even play Beyonce's country songs, citing that they were just not country enough, which raised questions about systemic exclusion of black artists in country music. That's not the only album, though, that received a ton of criticism. Her Renaissance album did as well. Singer Robin Stone found out that her 90s house hit Show Me Love was sampled on Break My Soul, the lead single from Beyonce's album Renaissance, and at the same time as everyone else, she found that out. As the performer rather, than the writer and producer of the song, her approval wasn't actually required to clear its use, nor does she receive any income from it. So while Stone sees the nod as a compliment and proof of, her 30-year relevancy, it also brings up old wounds. The writers of the song, Alan George and Fred McFarlane, never gave her proper credit. She said, "That first note is mine. The ad-libs are all mine. I added flavor to it. They've been eating at my table, and I've been feeding their families for well over 30 years. Stone isn't the only artist, though, startled by the use of their music on Renaissance. Beyonce removed an interpolation, a kind of sampling that sees song excerpts, re-recorded and often reworked. That comes from Khaleesi's 2003 hit Milkshake from the song Energy, after the latter publicly criticized Beyonce for not having the common decency just to let her know that she was using it. As Khaleesi explained, the situation rehashed an alleged dispute with the track's credited songwriters for Pharrell Williams and Chad Hugo of the Neptunes, who she claims swindled her out of publishing rights for the two albums they made together. You know, the discourse around Renaissance has opened up questions about the politics of sampling in modern pop. Today, sampling is a huge business. In the credits for the 16-track on Renaissance, there are nods to 17 other songs. Beyonce has tried pretty hard lately to stay out of the spotlight, and so aside from her recent country album Grammy win, not much new has happened to keep her on this hate train, but haters are gonna hate, right?
Now, Beyonce acted completely oblivious when it was reported that her sister Solange attacked her husband Jay-Z in an elevator at the Met Gala in 2014. But then the footage was leaked and it showed that Beyonce was there when it happened, and she just stood there and watched the whole thing go down. Now, after this was leaked, the family put out a statement saying, "There has been a great deal of speculation about what triggered the unfortunate incident, but the most important thing is that our family has worked through it. They both acknowledge their role in this private matter that has played out in the public. They both have apologized to each other, and we have moved forward as a united family." But it was then reported that Solange attacked Jay-Z because of cheating rumors. Now, these were just rumors until Beyonce released her album Lemonade in 2016. With the release of her 2016 album Lemonade, Beyonce revealed a lot of personal details about her relationship with Jay-Z, which led many people to believe the album was a direct response to rumors of infidelity in her marriage. However, after the album's release, she did an interview with Elle magazine where she was asked if the album was truly based on her marriage. Beyonce said, "This is not a story about my marriage, it's just an exploration of the journey of women everywhere." Now, fans were confused by this response though, due to the very public references to her husband's alleged cheating, as well as the infidelity-themed song Sorry. Now, in the end, Jay-Z did admit to cheating on Beyonce and clarified it on his album 444. He later did an interview where he confirmed it, as he told the New York Times magazine, "You know, most people walk away and like divorce rate is like 50% or something, because most people can't see themselves. The hardest thing is seeing pain on someone's face that you caused and then having to deal with it yourself. So, you know, most people don't want to do that. You don't want to look inside yourself, and so you walk away." Now, the couple eventually worked through everything though and are still together today. It's also been said that Beyonce has lied about her age. Yep, her own father actually said this. In 2015, Beyonce's dad, Matthew Knowles, hinted in an interview that his eldest daughter had been lying about her age. Reminiscing about when she was starting out in music, he remarked, "Pink, she's the exact same age as Beyonce. Usher, he was the same age. They were all 14 or 15 years old." Now, Pink was 36 and Usher was 37 at the time of the interview. But Beyonce, well, she was only 34. Now, could he have made a mistake with his daughter's age? Maybe, but she could have also switched her age. A lot of performers in Hollywood actually changed their ages to appear younger, so this definitely could have been the case with Beyonce, but hey, only a 2-year difference isn't that bad. Then there's the time Beyonce had her mom lie for her, which is just not a good look at all. Now, Beyonce left the 2016 BET Awards early and fans were not happy. Now, she surprised viewers by opening the award show with Kendrick Lamar and performing Freedom. After the performance, she immediately departed for the airport and asked her mother to stay and accept any awards on her behalf, since she was nominated in 5 categories. When Formation won for Video of the Year, her mother Tina went up on stage and accepted the award for her. "On behalf of my beautiful daughter, who is on a plane, she had to run straight from the stage to get on a plane and fly to London for a concert. Hopefully she'll make it in time," she said. But that's just how important this awards show was for her to show up. But the dedicated fans immediately noticed that London wasn't Beyonce's next tour stop. Now, the following concert was actually in Northeast England in Sunderland, and it wasn't until 2 nights later. Then last year, musical artist Jaguar Wright has spoken out calling both Diddy and Jay-Z monsters. She did an interview with Piers Morgan and made her feelings clear about the two stars, and she then mentioned Beyonce, saying she was supposedly involved in unfair incidents that transpired over time. Wright went on to say that she's spoken with hundreds of victims to whom she continues to assist. She said she has 3 victims who are willing to testify about what Jay-Z did to them as well as what he did to his wife Beyonce. She then went on to describe them as a nasty little couple and said they do nasty things, keeping people against their will, putting people on planes while they're unconscious, just like Aaliyah got on that plane unconscious. There's a lot that people don't want to talk about, she said. At the VMAs in 2011, Beyonce was a performer. She addressed the crowd before her performance of Love on Top, saying, "Tonight, I want you to stand up on your feet. I want you to feel the love that's growing inside of me." Now, at the end of the song, she dropped the mic, unbuttoned her purple sequin blazer, and started rubbing her belly. She was pregnant. Now, Beyonce later told Harper's Bazaar that the reveal was not a spur-of-the-moment decision. She said, "I put a lot of thought into how I wanted to unveil it. It was important to me that I was able to do it myself. I was extremely nervous. It was the toughest red carpet I ever did. I decided to say nothing and proudly show my baby bump. I felt it was more powerful to see the love and enthusiasm as opposed to saying anything." Now, after this though, the gender of her baby was accidentally released by one of her friends, Kelly Rowland. Speaking to Bang Showbiz in 2011, Kelly predicted Jay-Z was going to buy that little girl every single thing possible, inadvertently revealing to the world that the couple had a daughter on the way. Now, speaking about it later, Kelly said that Beyonce was disappointed about the ordeal. "I felt terrible because it was not my news," Kelly said. And while Beyonce announced her pregnancy on live TV, some people think that she actually faked her pregnancy and that she had a surrogate. Now, Wendy Williams was one of the loudest voices when it came to this, as she discussed it on her show. Wendy claimed that Beyonce might have faked her pregnancy in 2011, as she drew attention to a particular moment from an Australian appearance. Wendy made an eyebrow-raising observation. Beyonce's baby bump seemed to squash and crumple when she sat down. "I couldn't wait to talk to you about Beyonce's baby bump conspiracy rumor," Wendy began the segment with. Now, speaking of her own pregnancy, Wendy added, "I never remember my baby bump squashing." She then went on to discuss the video frame by frame, exclaiming, "Look at the shape. Do you see that? Is that a baby bump?" Now, Wendy was really convinced that her pregnancy was fake, but later on, in response to the allegations, Beyonce's publicist told MTV that the claims were stupid, ridiculous, and false. But what is the truth? I mean, I guess only Beyonce knows. Now, everyone thinks that Beyonce is this musical genius, but in reality, she has stolen a lot of things from different artists throughout her career. In a 2008 interview with Marie Claire UK, Beyonce implied that some of the lyrics to her 2006 single Irreplaceable weren't actually aimed at Jay-Z. But singer-songwriter Ne-Yo told MTV, apparently Beyonce was at a show somewhere, and right before the song came on, she said, "I wrote this for all my ladies," and then the song came on. The song is a co-write. I wrote the lyrics, I wrote all of the lyrics. Beyonce helped me with the melodies and the harmonies and the vocal arrangement, and that makes it a co-write, meaning my contribution and her contribution made the song what it is. Now, in 2011, Ne-Yo said that he wrote the song for himself, but thought it'd be better suited for Beyonce, but then he just hated the fact that she lied about it. And then there's the fact that Beyonce stole another song. Now, she sampled Kelsey's song Milkshake and didn't give her credit. My mind is blown too, because the level of disrespect and utter ignorance of all 3 parties involved is astounding, she claimed via Instagram in July 2022. The next day she clarified, "It's not about me being jealous of someone using my song. That's the dumbest, most ignorant thing I've ever heard. It has to do with the fact, from one artist to another, you should have the decency and common sense and the courtesy to call." Though neither Beyonce nor her team publicly commented on Kelsey's posts, the sample appeared to be removed from the Spotify version of Energy in early August 2022, although it can still be heard on Apple Music. Now, not even addressing this or apologizing is just icky. While Beyonce initially stood by her husband's side after he was accused of committing a serious, horrible crime with his friend Diddy in the year 2000, a source told RadarOnline.com that Beyonce has now begun to distance herself from her husband's legal woes as a way to protect her image. Now, an insider said, "It's not a good look and Beyonce's in a nightmare situation. There's not one area of her world that Jay isn't involved in, but already she's taking steps to protect herself, her reputation, and her kids' futures. It's why she made it clear he won't be joining her on her upcoming tour." Now still, the source claimed Beyonce is not going to walk away just yet. They continued by saying she has to again give him the benefit of the doubt, but this time it's hard. She's barely had time to start patching up the damage done from the Becky saga, so she still has trust issues with him. This scandal really couldn't have come at a worse time for their already fragile marriage. Now, despite the anonymous accuser known as Jane Doe in her filing dropping her lawsuit, Jay-Z said he continues to face backlash over her malicious and fictitious claim, which he has denied over and over again. Just a couple weeks ago, he filed a lawsuit against Jane Doe and her attorneys, Anthony Busby and David Fortney, calling her original filing false, malicious, strategically and tactily calculated, and timed to inflict maximum pain and suffering on Mr. Carter. Now, the lawsuit goes on to call the attorneys soullessly motivated by greed, in abject disregard of the truth and the most fundamental precepts of human decency. Now, even though this Jane Doe has dropped the lawsuit, it doesn't mean that Jay is innocent, and this appears to be something that Beyonce is starting to realize. When the allegations first came to light, Beyonce brought Jay-Z to the premiere of her and her daughter's film. Now, this raised a lot of eyebrows at the time, as sources with direct knowledge told the Post that before the allegations, it was rumored that Jay-Z and Beyonce were not planning to attend the premiere. However, they appear to have a change of heart after the lawsuit. Beyonce forced Jay-Z to go to the premiere last night, an insider told DailyMail.com at the time. They are working with a crisis specialist who is advising them on how to handle this. Beyonce believes that the best way is to face it head on, and that's what they did. Now, Disney, though, had other feelings, as an insider revealed that there was hesitation on Disney's side regarding the best way to handle it, given the events from the lawsuit. Now, at the end of the day, it was Beyonce's call. They allowed her to decide how she thought was best to handle the situation. That's how much Disney trusts and values her. They added, and the way she wanted to handle it was to smile, put on a united front by standing by her man, but also to celebrate her daughter. They were originally scheduled to do interviews on the carpet. However, after the lawsuit was filed and came to light, it was quickly decided on by both sides that there would be no interviews, only photos. Although Beyonce hasn't publicly commented on everything going on with her husband, it's not too hard to imagine how difficult this must be for her. I mean, her and Jay have gone through so many scandals during their relationship, especially when Jay-Z cheated on her. She learned to forgive him for that, but now he's turned around and done something horrible again. She has to think about herself and protect her kids, so who knows if their marriage will last. And like mentioned before, Beyonce is going on tour soon, and she's not bringing Jay-Z with her. But honestly, some space between the two could be a good thing, and it will allow Beyonce to focus on giving her fans the best show, as fans were up in arms about the prices, as they're almost double the price as last time. Now, a lot of fans didn't even get tickets to Beyonce's tour because the prices made them inaccessible, with some people saying the tickets cost more than a month of rent, which is honestly just insane, by the way, since Beyonce is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. She doesn't need all this money. Then, Beyonce's mom just exposed a secret about her. In a recent Instagram post, Tina wrote, "Beyonce decided not to continue acting in movies." Yes, she's done voice acting like in the Lion King films, but it seems like she will never physically return to the screen. Tina revealed this while reflecting on Bey's role as Etta James in Cadillac Records. Sharing a clip of Beyonce performing Etta's I'd Rather Go Blind, Tina wrote, "Just came across this in my feed. I listened to it several times. This is still one of my favorite movies, and it makes me miss the fact that my child decided to not continue with movies. She killed it in this movie." Tina continued, adding that Beyonce also unselfishly donated her salary to the Phoenix House, which is a group of rehabilitation centers. Beyonce noticeably spent her time there while preparing to play Etta, who had battled an addiction during her career. "Wow, this is such a subtle way of telling us we're never gonna see her on our big screens again," one person wrote in the comments. "Please tell her to get back on set," another another begged, "We need that EGOT," someone else said. So it seems like we shouldn't expect to see Beyonce physically on the big screen ever again. Now, someone who is a secret fan of Beyonce is none other than King Charles. Yeah. During his Apple Music One radio special, The King's Room, which was released on March 10th, he revealed that her 2003 hit Crazy in Love featuring her husband Jay-Z made his playlist. Now, before going into the song, Charles noted, "I'd like to congratulate her for winning her first Album of the Year Grammy." Now, Charles praised her as a musician and a supporter of the King's Trust charity. "First, from a performer so exceptional, I just couldn't resist including her music," Charles said. She performed this song at the Prince's Trust Fashion Rocks concert in Royal Albert Hall in 2003. Now, the King's Trust International is turning 10 years old this year, and as I mentioned earlier, the renamed King's Trust UK will reach its 50th anniversary next year, he said. "I wanted to include an iconic musical moment from the many events which have supported my trust work for young people all over these years. Here is one of the Trust's most faithful supporters, the incomparable Beyonce with her song Crazy in Love." So, there you have it. King Charles is a part of the Bayhive. Now, Beyonce's fans weren't just upset about the ticket prices for her new tour though. Oh no. Just a couple days after the Ticketmaster war her fans went through, an ad for her new perfume dropped, but it sparked another major online debate about the product's price. Now, the singer launched the product with an Instagram photo, and the caption announced the perfume's name, Sa Lumiere. Now, soon after, commenters dropped negative remarks and trolled the singer while joking about being broke. A full comment stated, "Read the room, Beyonce, we are broke." And another user wrote, "How she may not break our soul, but you break our wallets." Now, the perfume is being sold on her website for $160 USD, and that's not including taxes or shipping. Now, this is a product that a lot of fans couldn't justify getting, and I totally understand it. Beyonce seems to have many different products and companies, and buying everything would be so expensive. Like, did you know that Beyonce has a hair care line? Yep, well, in an interview in February, Cynthia Erivo revealed that she actually uses Beyonce's hair care line. Now, this made people confused as, well, Cynthia, she has a shaved head. Fans tweeted things like, "Is the hair in the room with us?" and "She don't even have hair." Now, Cynthia later clarified though that she uses a hair oil from Beyonce's hair care line that keeps everything good after she shaves. Now, some fans came to her defense though, with them saying, "Bald scalps still need moisturizer and other care products to maintain a smooth, healthy scalp, and it's to moisturize her scalp, y'all, OMG." But hey, whatever works for you, girl.
BuzzFeed posted 33 photos of Beyonce from her halftime show that she hated so much she got her publicist, Yvette Noel Schur, to email them, demanding 7 of them be removed. As a public figure, Beyonce's life is constantly under scrutiny. For someone who seemingly always has everything under her control, there have been a few times she hasn't, and this was one of those times. In the email that BuzzFeed received from Beyonce's publicist, it read, "Thanks for taking my call. As discussed, there are some unflattering photos on your current feed that we are respectfully asking you to change. I am certain you will be able to find some better photos." Then she listed them as number 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, 19, and 22, and ended off her email with just a simple "thank you very much." BuzzFeed said they emailed back asking for further explanation but didn't receive a response, so they kept the photos up. The original article that BuzzFeed actually posted had 33 photos in it, and they labeled it as the 33 fiercest moments from Beyonce's halftime show. Beyonce's, 2013 Super Bowl halftime show was a showcase of female empowerment and a reunion with her former bandmates. The performance was praised by critics and became one of the most tweeted about moments of the time. Beyonce performed a medley of her hits, including Crazy in Love, Love on Top, End of Time, and Baby Boy. She was joined by her former Destiny's Child bandmates Michelle Williams and Kelly Rowland. The performance was described as frenetic and fierce. Some critics said it was proof of life and the night's true event. Her outfit, though, is what most people talked about, however, with many saying it didn't give off feminine vibes, which now makes sense as to why the photos she didn't want us all to see looked rather masculine and kind of unflattering. Many people were trying to guess, the designer. Thierry Mugler, Givenchy Couture. That's what we suspected watching Beyonce's hardcore leather and lace corset and boots outfit. Or was it just leather and lace at the Super Bowl halftime show? But no, it's in fact the work of New York designer Ruben Singer. Singer is no stranger to the world of fashion, but designing the costumes for a style icon like Beyonce to perform at one of the year's most widely viewed sporting events was a completely different situation for him. Singer had worked with the singer, songwriter, and actress over the years and presented, storyboards from his fall 2013 collection to Beyonce's stylist Raquel Smith and Ty Hunter right after Thanksgiving. The concept perfectly captured the diva's vision for her Super Bowl performance. After he received the assignment, Knowles and Singer set forth on an accelerated collaborative process in early December. The next 2 months involved no less than 5 fittings and well over 200 man-hours, with a team of 14 dedicated people to creating the final look at the designer's New York City store. 1 full week leading up to the event in daily dress rehearsals at the New Orleans Superdome was also required to make sure everything was perfect for the big night. The stage costumes are based on Singer's fall 2013 collection entitled Valkyries, Dominion. Now, in Norse mythology, a Valkyrie is a female figure who decides which soldiers pass in battle and which live. Other points of inspiration come from the striking images of late 70s, early 80s Helmut Newton and the play on masculine-feminine associated with 1930s film actress Marlene Dietrich. Now, the performance's opening look, set to the hit song Crazy in Love, consisted of 2 pieces. A black leather cropped motorcycle jacket with exaggerated shoulders and an asymmetrical collar with dramatic wing cuffs were paired with a micro-mini asymmetrical wrap skirt in liquid nylon, made of nylon, metal, silk, and plastic that Singer exclusively created for her. Later in the performance, after removing the motorcycle jacket, Knowles wore a black leather bodysuit reminiscent of warrior armor. Stripes of engineered python, paneled iguana, and trampunto pick stitch leather were sewn together in contrast to the, flounce skirt and insets of delicate black chantilly lace in areas where skin could be seen. This item proved to be incredibly challenging, as it sounds, and as it is not only needed to be dramatic, but also had to withstand the, rigorous dance moves required for the performance. Singer said, "This piece is truly couture in every way," while describing the process. He said, "My seamstresses were assembling all of the leather and exotic skins individually by hand. All of the pieces were separate details that were all constructed for her body and on her body. We had to make the bodysuit have a tremendous range of motion and flexibility." Beyonce is such a fierce and intense performer, so we could not, have the outfit constrict her in any way, which I totally get. In addition to Beyonce's costumes, Singer created the costume for former Destiny's Child bandmate Michelle Williams, as well as the jackets for the show's 120 backup dancers. Singer presented, his fall-winter 2013 collection during New York City's Fashion Week that year. Now, BuzzFeed presented, the look in a series of photos highlighting each striking pose she did, each facial expression that she made, and, contrary to the public's opinion, and well, Beyonce's opinion too, BuzzFeed said that every single photo looked fierce, strong, and beautiful. One person on social media said, "If I were a celebrity on the outside, I'd be like, haha, those pics are so funny, guys, I look crazy. But on the inside, I'd be like, if I see this picture one more time, I'm gonna lose it. People are making fun of me because I was dancing my behind off for my performance. I trained so hard for this, I'm gonna flip. Oh my God, delete the internet, I hate everyone." Another person on Twitter said, "My dad once posted a photo on Facebook of me mid-blink eating a chocolate. I would have straight up unalived my dad before letting, that stay online, so I don't blame her." Another person provided, a different perspective, saying, "Those are obviously unflattering pics, but she served an amazing and powerful performance with all that energy. One could expect those kind of gestures. It's sad that she desperately wanted to erase them, but on the other hand, I know how cruel some people can be on the internet making memes and stuff." Fast forward now to the most recent halftime show, which many say Beyonce arguably delivered one of the greatest halftime shows in NFL history, and it wasn't even the Super Bowl. The 43-year-old pop star took the field midway through the Christmas game between the Baltimore Ravens and the Houston Texans to perform first-time live renditions of several hit tracks off her latest Grammy-nominated album, Cowboy Carter. As to be expected, there appeared to be several Easter eggs and hidden messages embedded not only within her show-stopping performance, but also within pre- and post-show, promotional content. While Queen Bee, was famously joined by her eldest daughter, Blue Ivy Carter, Post Malone, and Shaboozey during the performance, there were several lesser-known but still notable figures that took the stage beside her too. In her pre-recorded intro, she sang her version of Blackbird by the Beatles alongside fellow Black country stars, Raina Roberts, Tanner Adele, Brittany Spencer, and Tierra Kennedy, who also are actually featured on the track. At various moments throughout the show, Beyonce also showcased several groundbreaking, country icons, including Mexican cowgirl Melanie Rivera, pioneering bull rider Murtis Dightman Jr., Miss Rodeo Texas Princess 2004, and Miss Rodeo Texas 2015, Nikki Woodward, and the first Black rodeo queen in Arkansas, Jediah Kirsch. Now, meanwhile, a caravan carrying Houston Texans owner Cal McNair and his wife Hannah rode onto the field as Beyonce sang her cover of Dolly Parton's Jolene. The Texans cheerleaders fittingly made up part of her backup dancing ensemble, in addition to nearly 200 members of Texas Southern University's Ocean of Soul marching band. During her pre-recorded intro of 16 Carriages, Beyonce could be seen passing by exactly 16 Cadillacs as she rode through the stadium's, tunnels on a white horse. When it came time for Post Malone's, guest appearance for their song, the two actually duetted, while leaning against a pickup truck appropriately covered all in denim. Now, all of the photos that were taken, Beyonce definitely approved of this time. She made sure that no one was gonna play with her, this go around. And you could tell she didn't make any strong facial expressions or movements that would look unflattering in photos. Reason number 1, overexposure. Now, before I dive into the reasons behind this fatigue, let me make it clear that she is undoubtedly one of the most talented. In recent years, though, Beyonce has been everywhere. Beyonce has faced criticism for overexposure and oversaturation, particularly in the mid-2010s. Critics argue that her constant presence in the media and her prolific output of music and performances have led to fatigue and decreased interest in her brand. She's released several albums, gone on tour, performed at countless award shows, and even launched her own activewear line. While it's understandable that she wants to stay relevant and capitalize on her success, the sheer volume of her output has started to feel overwhelming to some fans. When you're constantly bombarded with Beyonce's music videos, and endorsement deals, it's only natural to start feeling a little fatigued. Lack of authenticity. Another reason why some fans may be feeling tired of Beyonce is the perception that she's become too calculated and manufactured. With the rise of social media, it's become increasingly easy for celebrities to curate a perfect image of themselves, and Beyonce is no exception. While she's always been known for her polished performances and music videos, some fans feel that she's lost touch with her roots and is now more focused on maintaining a flawless public image than creating genuine art. One person on social media said, "Sometimes I do feel like the only thing Beyonce doesn't have that Prince and Madonna and MJ etc. did have is a consistently high quality discography. Everything else seems impressive. Her dedication, perfectionism, and ambition is absolutely the stuff of legend, but she doesn't yet have the collection of music to back it up, I feel. In time she will, I'm sure of it." Another person said, "She is quite overrated in my opinion. She's a good and occasionally great artist, but in recent years, it seems like people and critics have been praising and revering her as highly, as artists like MJ, Prince, Bowie, and Madonna were praised in their heyday. I think people want another huge, legendary pop star that can be looked back on as one of the greatest to ever do it, but in my opinion, Beyonce just doesn't quite cut it. That said, she is an amazing performer." Unrelatability. Beyonce's music and public persona have always been centered around themes of female empowerment, love, and self-discovery. However, as she's she's grown older and more successful, some fans have started to feel like they can't relate to her as much as they used to. Her music has become more experimental and avant-garde, which may appeal to some fans, but not to others. Additionally, her luxurious lifestyle and high-profile marriage to Jay-Z have made her seem increasingly out of touch with the everyday concerns and struggles of her fans. One person online came to her defense and said, "This is a very unpopular opinion, but I feel like the relatable criticisms are from people that want to be nosy, as well as find something very negative about her in order to be sanctimonious and sit in their high horse." Now, it's a cycle of, let's trauma bond, all the while I'm going to silently judge you and think highly of myself for this one little thing. I've already seen people do this with Kiki, Cardi, Megan, Nicki, and several others, because let's face it, the little bit of information that we know about her is stuff that is relatable. Someone actually agreed with this person, saying, "I agree with you. What's funny is there is a lot we know about her personal life. Obviously, it's not everything, but we know about her infertility issues, marriage troubles, babies in the NICU, parents' divorce issues, injuries, etc. A lot of these things are plenty significant and relatable, but people ignore that because it's not really about relating, it's about judgment." Overemphasis on visuals. In recent years, Beyonce has placed an increasing emphasis on visuals in her music and live performances. While her music videos and concerts are undoubtedly stunning and meticulously, choreographed, some fans feel that she's prioritizing style over substance. With the rise of streaming services and social media, it's become easier than ever for artists to just focus on creating visually striking content that generates buzz and goes viral. However, this approach can sometimes come at the expense of meaningful lyrics and genuine emotional connection. Unrealistic expectations is another reason. I mean, some fans may be feeling tired of Beyonce because they've placed unrealistic expectations on her. Beyonce has been accused of cultural appropriation. Beyonce has faced criticism for cultural appropriation, particularly in her music videos and performances. Her 2018 Coachella performance was criticized for borrowing heavily from historically Black colleges and universities' culture without proper understanding, credit, or compensation. Use of African culture. Beyonce has been accused of using, African culture as a prop, particularly also in her music videos and performances. Some fans have also criticized Beyonce for not adequately representing the cultures she appropriates, now leading to accusations of exploitation. At the time of the Super Bowl in February of 2024, Beyonce released 2 new singles that sounded a little different than her usual stuff. One of those 2 singles, called, Texas Hold'em, went on to #1 on the Billboard Hot Country chart and eventually #1 on just the Billboard Hot 100. In late March of that year, Beyonce followed up with the release of her new album Cowboy Carter that featured artists like Willie Nelson and Dolly Parton. The outrage was not far behind, though. There were some who suggested that since Beyonce was, a Black artist, she had no business messing around with country music. There were others who suggested that Beyonce was purposefully, making a mockery of a sacred genre. And yet even others suggested that this was a clear example of the dreaded, cultural appropriation that gets tossed around like a yo-yo with the worst possible timing. The reality is, though, that Beyonce was born and raised in Texas, and her mother is a Texas native and her father's from Alabama. It wouldn't be a stretch to understand that Beyonce grew up listening to some high-quality country music, all her life. Music industry controversies. There's been a lot of accusations of Beyonce stealing ideas. Beyonce has faced accusations of stealing from other artists, including Khalees and Destiny's Child's former manager Matthew Knowles, who is also, of course, her father and her ex-manager. Now, the Milkshake singer called out Beyonce, as well as producers Pharrell Williams and Chad Hugo, for sampling her 2003 single on the song Energy, allegedly without her permission. Khalees claimed, via Instagram in July 2022, saying, "My mind is blown too because the level of disrespect and utter ignorance of all 3 parties involved is astounding. I heard about this the same way everyone else did. Nothing is ever as it seems. Some of the people in this business have no soul or integrity and they have everyone fooled." Though neither Beyonce nor her team publicly commented on Khalees' post, the sample appeared to be removed from the Spotify version of Energy in early August 2022, although it can still be heard on Apple Music, so give it a listen. So a lot of sampling without permission has been speculated many times, and Beyonce has been accused of sampling another person's song without permission, a Nigerian singer, Tiwa Savage. Now, there was also a lawsuit over Formation. Allegedly, Beyonce was sued by the estate of Anthony Barr, a New Orleans-based YouTube personality, over the use of his voice and likeness in her song Formation. Now, in 2025, Beyonce won the Grammy for Best Country Album for her album Cowboy Carter, becoming the first Black woman to win in that category. However, some fans and critics said that other nominees were more deserving. In August 2022, Beyonce announced that she would change the lyrics to her song Heated following backlash from disability rights activists. The track includes lines in the song which features a slang term derived from the word spastic. Now, activists argued that the word is considered a slur among people with cerebral palsy. Her team said in a statement at the time, the word, not used intentionally in a harmful way, will be replaced, but many just called her to be cancelled after that. Beyonce's personal life controversies have taken a toll on her reputation also, and they're making people just tired of her. Jay-Z's, infidelity. Beyonce's husband admitted to his infidelity in his 2017 album 444, leading to speculation about the state of their marriage. There was also, the rumors of a fake pregnancy. Remember when some fans accused Beyonce of faking her 2011 pregnancy with Blue Ivy, sparking a very heated debate, which of course, mostly stemmed from that interview that she did in Australia, where people saw her stomach fold like a frisbee. Now, her feud with Kim Kardashian is also problematic. Beyonce and Kim have been rumored to have had a feud, with some speculating it's over Jay-Z's friendship with Kanye West. Now, last but not least, her business controversies have taken a toll and called many people to want her to be canceled this year. To start, her Ivy Park clothing line. Beyonce's Ivy Park clothing line faced a lot of criticism for its high prices and lack of diversity in its marketing. Not to mention, it was reported that these fits were being made by workers who were getting paid like next to nothing. So basically a sweatshop. Workers actually told The Sun that all they do is work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep. Ivy Park denied the allegations, claiming to have an ethical trading program, factory inspections and audits, and all is good, allegedly.
The man in question was Dr. Zahi Hawass. He is a popular tour guide as he knows the pyramids very, very well. For years, he's been the Minister of Tourism and Antiquities of Egypt. He campaigns for stolen Egyptian artifacts, and he is, in general, an archaeologist, described by many as Indiana Jones. It's clear the man knows what he's talking about when it comes to the ancient Egyptians, and who wouldn't want a personal tour led by Indiana Jones? He does have another popular unofficial nickname, which is Gatekeeper of the Pyramids. Though this might not be official, he has no problem exercising his right to ban those he deems unworthy of the space, and that list shockingly added Beyonce's name back in 2013. Dr. Hawass said he found the singer rude after she allegedly showed up late to their meeting, and then there was a disagreement over photography. The doctor claimed that he and the artist had agreed to meet at 3 p.m., but Beyonce showed up after that. When he requested an apology, apparently the artist, in his words, didn't open her mouth. Now, that wasn't enough for him to just refuse the tour right then. There was another incident that really created the problems. Beyonce, of course, had a guard with her for safety reasons, but in addition to them, apparently brought a photographer as well because she wanted to do a goddess-themed photo shoot while there. The thing is, the doctor also brought a photographer, and this seemed to be a bit of a problem. He claims that when his photographer started taking pictures, Beyonce's guard attempted to stop them, and it resulted in some pushing and almost having their camera taken away. This incident pushed the doctor's anger over the edge, and therefore the star lost her spot on his tour. That, plus she was also allegedly being rude. His send-off to the star was something not many people can say they've done before. Apparently, he said Beyonce was stupid and then just left. There was also the matter that Beyonce had shown up in all white because she was having a goddess-themed shoot. Dr. Hawass even asked her when she arrived if she was trying to be Cleopatra, which Beyonce actually found funny. Of course, anyone allegedly getting banned from an ancient historical site would be a big deal, but when that person is international music artist Beyonce, there's going to be headline upon headline. Of course, news of Beyonce's banning made it back to her team, so we do have a response from the artist, and it just made the whole situation a little bit stranger. According to her team, this incident never happened, and said the whole thing was lies and more lies. Hey, Even if the incident did happen, it definitely didn't take place in 2013 like the initial article suggested. Beyoncé's statement shared that the last time the singer had been in Egypt was in 2009, and there are photos of her there at that time. When this Beyoncé ban news, which was originally reported by the UK news site Independent back in November of 2013, the article made it sound like this incident had happened very recently, but that wasn't the whole truth. Dr. Howes is a pretty controversial character on his own, without getting into too many details, once calling those with opposing theories pyramidiates? No, oh my god, pyramidiates. Yeah, sure. Once calling those with opposing theories pyramidiates, and I will admit, that's kind of funny, no notes there, extra points for creativity. Anyways, he was widely celebrated for his efforts in the archaeology world, but he was also deemed to be very controlling and overbearing, even egotistical by some. It appears that in a 2013 interview, the man was simply reminiscing on his past encounter with Beyoncé from 2009, and if the account is true, it's certainly eventful enough to remember after all this time. Though this alleged incident didn't take place in the year the Independent article came out, accounts from 2009, they do exist. E! News reported that locals spoke to the press at the time. One journalist got the statement that the doctor did get angry with the singer and stopped being diplomatic. This account also claimed that he called Beyoncé a stupid person that didn't understand anything, or that she just didn't want to understand anything. Either way, the pair clearly did not end their interaction well. It's unclear how Beyoncé responded to the insults against her. Maybe they were said after the pair had separated, who knows. Despite the alleged rough end to the tour, things clearly started well enough as the pair were pictured together in front of the Sphinx reading from a book. Beyoncé even made her way into one of the pyramids and sang Ave Maria. She said it was the clearest acoustic she's ever heard, and she could have stayed there forever. I mean, if she really is banned, that would cause a problem. Despite not making overly public returns to the country, Beyoncé has used Egyptian mythology and symbolism in her shows and performances since. People are saying Beyoncé has been kicked out of the country music scene despite the success of her latest album, Cowboy Carter. After winning the Grammy for Best Country Album and Album of the Year this year, Beyoncé has been attacked from all angles. From those that didn't like the album, to those that did, but just didn't think this was Beyoncé's best work. The singer has probably heard it all. A lot of people are just angry with the star for taking on the country genre in the first place. Beyoncé, for a long time, has been primarily an R&B, pop, hip-hop artist. Cowboy Carter was her big jump in the country music scene, but not the first time she's tried it out. People are very upset that Beyoncé seemingly tries out a genre and then wins everything for it. It does look odd. If you aren't aware of her country music roots, it would seem like she's just trying out genres to have a little bit of everything in her music library. Those that have really taken the theories far, though, even accuse award shows of being rigged so Beyoncé can have an award for every genre. But again, Cowboy Carter might be Beyoncé's first full country piece, but it's not the first time she's expressed a love for the genre. On her 2016 album Lemonade, she released the country-leaning track Daddy Lessons. In 2007, a rumor was circulating that Beyoncé's next album was going to be all country. It turned out that it really wasn't. Her next album was I Am Sasha Fierce, but the rumor likely came from the fact that Beyoncé had spoken out about her love for country music and the fact that she had recently done a country rendition of her song Irreplaceable at the AMAs with country artist Sugarland. Truly, it was a matter of time though before she was going to come out with a Cowboy Carter. I mean, Beyoncé was born and raised in Houston, Texas. Country music is in your bones. In 2024, the Country Music Awards shocked everyone though when they didn't award Beyoncé with any awards or even nominations. People weren't exactly being shy about their distaste for her taking on the genre, but outright refusing to acknowledge the impact her album had was another thing entirely. Beyoncé's song Texas Hold'em was huge. The Bayhive was hopeful that Beyoncé would become the first black woman to get shortlisted for Album of the Year. Of course, that didn't happen in the end. Not to say that those that were nominated were undeserving, because many great country albums have been released last year, but what's interesting is that the CMAs might have had a hand in the creation of the very album that they ended up snubbing. In 2016, Beyoncé performed her song Daddy Lessons at the CMAs with the Chicks, formerly known as Dixie Chicks. The performance was widely criticized. Lead singer of the Chicks, Natalie Maines, even spoke out about the treatment Beyoncé was subject to after, calling it disgusting. Beyoncé was the one one in the end to connect the 2016 show to the 2024 album. In an Instagram post about Cowboy Carter, Beyonce wrote that the album was born out of an experience that she had years ago where she did not feel welcome. The experience made the artist want to take a deeper dive into the history of country, and now we have it in Cowboy Carter. Though she lost out on nominations at the Country Music Awards, she got 12 at the People's Choice Country Awards, which was, funnily enough, more than anyone else that year.